20,000 ADA really just seems like a really high number that is almost unreachable. But once you really start doing the math and then you consider what the potential return is on some type of investment of that size, you can really start to see the overall growth potential that there is within the crypto space, and it's going to absolutely blow your mind. So in today's video, what we're going to be talking about is if you were to purchase 20,000 ADA right now, and it starts to hit some of the numbers that I have, some of the different projections that many analysts have, and within the next maybe 10, 15 to 20 years, how much that could return you, how much you can make yearly, and what all it could do to just overall really change your life. So in no way is this financial advice. I'm not telling you to go buy 20,000 ADA. Who knows what's going to happen in the crypto world, as there is not regulation really that much right now. And so with that, you never really know what the future does hold. But what I'm going to be talking about more is just what is in the realm of possibility and how a purchase of 20,000 ADA can truly change your life. Now, with that being said, let's go ahead and let's talk numbers. Let's talk facts. Okay, so some facts about ADA Cardano is that there are differences within ADA that do make it better / unique / different than any of the other cryptos that are going to be on the blockchain. Okay, now there's two specifically that I truly believe are going to take it to the next level, especially over the course of 20 years. Now this entire video is going to be based around a timescape of 20 years, but truly I do believe that this can be accomplished sooner, granted that the conditions are right. Now there's not regulation. When regulation it does become a factor within the crypto world, you never really know how it'll affect it. But again, I'm talking about a landscape of about 20 years, okay? So the reason we're going to be talking about 20 years is, first of all, my favorite aspect of ADA Cardano, which is going to be the proof of stake protocol. Now, the reason that I am such a big fan of this, and I am putting it in that time span, about 20 to 30 years, is going to be the fact that what we are starting to see in society as a whole. So with that being said, one thing in which you will see within this video time and time again is I'm going to be talking about how it does affect society. Now, the reason I say that is, sure, there are things like smart contracts coming out, and there's these different aspects that are going to make it overall better within the crypto sphere, and that's great. I love that, and I think that does increase utility. But what I am more focused on, what I think is going to take ADA to the next level and really separate it from the pack, is going to be the impact in which it can have on the average person within society who may not know about cryptocurrencies. And so again, the first one is going to be the proof of stake protocol. So the reason I'm so excited about this is going to be the overall impact in which ADA has in comparison to a proof of work protocol, as they do have a proof of stake protocol. Now, the reason I'm so excited about this is, again, it has a better environmental impact. Well, let's think about what we're seeing within the world right now, not just the cryptosphere, but the world. Well, one thing that we do know is that there have been major passings of regulatory acts that will, make people just take the better steps and make better decisions in regards to how they affect the environment. Well, let's think about California, for example. By 2050, 29 years from now, the sale of gas-powered vehicles will be completely banned and everything will have to go electric. That is going to be something that we do see widespread, and that adoption is something that we are seeing within multiple states in the United States, as well as countries around the world. Well, how does this benefit ADA? Well, let's think about what we just talked about, in that it affects the environment in a better way. Now, the reason it does so is that the proof of stake protocol does diverge away from the proof of work protocol due to the fact that it takes all of the the need for that strong computing out of the equation. Right? Whenever we see the proof of work protocol, let's talk about Bitcoin, for example. The stronger the computing that you have in a very oversimplified version, the better you'll do, the more money you'll make. And so that incentivizes people to use a lot of electricity. We see a lot of coal power, that whole issue over, kind of towards the east. We have that big major problem that we're trying to figure out. And all of that is just simply not good for the environment. Well, proof of stake completely removes that for the most part. And so with that, I'm not going to talk about necessarily how, as I don't want to keep you here for 30 minutes, but you guys understand that with proof of stake, it does take that computing power out, that need for major electricity and all of the energy usage out. And as it does that, it's better, again, for the environment. And so this applies to why I believe that it can see growth into the trillions of market cap, simply for the fact that the way in which it affects society is better than what we have seen from something like Bitcoin or many other cryptocurrencies that can then make it more appealing to the governments. It can make it more appealing to general society who just care about the environment. And with that, I think that it increases its overall adoption, which would be absolutely fantastic. Now, the second thing that I want to talk about is its overall utility within society. So what we've seen recently with, say, Bitcoin, for example, is we have seen the adoption and the allowance of it as a legal tender within countries like El Salvador, with many other countries starting to make proposals about it within their governments. Well, the interesting thing about that, and the exciting thing about it in a sense, especially for ADA, is that realistically, Bitcoin is not good as a currency. And we know that. It's a store of value, and that is about the most it can do. The reason I say that is Bitcoin realistically can only do about 7 transactions per second. Well, realistically, if we think about where it needs to be, Visa does about 26,000 transactions per second. So you can see that there is a vast difference there. I mean, it's not even remotely close. Now, realistically, do we need 26,000 transactions per second for cryptocurrency right now? No, we don't. Right? And so that's why Bitcoin can be adopted as a legal tender, because realistically in El Salvador, they're not going to be using it as much. But one thing we do have to consider is that going forward, as it is now precedent, as there is precedent for the establishment of a cryptocurrency as a legal tender, we now can see that it's in the realm of possibility. And I would not be surprised whatsoever as more of these different, governments and politicians do propose to bring cryptocurrencies into the government, that we will start to see that happening more and more again. Well, how does this affect ADA? Well, in comparison to Bitcoin, say Ethereum can do up to about 50 transactions per second. Okay, that is going to be about its max. Now, there are going to be some upgrades made to it that are going to allow it to do a little bit more, but realistically, Ethereum does have a lot of problems in terms of transactional abilities that are going to limit it for a very long time, in my opinion. It's still one of my favorite cryptos, but it is limited in terms of transactions. Well, what excites me about ADA Cardano that is going to be absolutely revolutionary isn't what it's doing right now, but the capabilities that it has in the future. Okay, so right now, ADA can do roughly between 7 to 50 transactions per second, depending on the what it needs. It doesn't necessarily need to be doing 50 right now because there aren't 50 transactions per second happening, right? But it does have the ability to do up to 1,000 to multiple thousand transactions per second whenever it does implement its layer 2 protocol, which is going to be Hydra. Now, this is going to, again, allow the transactions per second to increase dramatically, which is a clear difference from the 7 that we're seeing from Bitcoin or the 50 that we're seeing from Ethereum. Now, there are some rumors going around that it can do up to 1 million transactions per second, and I don't even think it's necessary to say that, because realistically, I don't know if ADA will ever need to be able to do 1 million transactions per second. But the great thing about it is whenever we talk about Hydra is going to be the fact that it has linear growth potential, meaning that the bigger it needs to get, the bigger it can get. The bigger the platform gets, the more transactions per second it can get, which will be able to scale in tandem with the overall adoption in which we see, which would be fantastic for our ADA Cardano's adoptability within society as a whole. So overall, those are the two which really make it stand out for me, okay? Personally speaking, I think that there will be multiple cryptos that reach $1 trillion in market cap dependent on how they all perform and dependent on regulation and regulatory events in which we will see from the different governments that will try to limit cryptocurrency's growth. We know that's coming one day, okay? But I don't think it's out of the realm of possibility to say that there will be multiple cryptocurrencies that can reach $1 trillion in market cap. And from what we are seeing, due to the overall protection in which we do see for ADA Cardano, considering the fact that everything is peer reviewed, considering the fact that they do utilize a scientific method, and considering the fact that they consider themselves to be one of the most secure proof of stake protocols on the blockchain due to all of these different things in which they implement, I believe that it has the longevity, the security, the credibility, and the potential to be amongst those top 3 or 4 cryptos that will eventually reach $1 trillion. Just my opinion. So with that being said, why do you need 20,000 of them? Okay, well, let's start talking a little bit of numbers. I'm going to actually pull up my computer here so you can start to get a visual of these numbers in which I am saying. So at the moment, we are looking at about 32,704,886,184 ADAs within the entire, within circulation. Okay, well, let's start to talk some numbers. Personally speaking, I believe that within 20 years, we will see ADA Cardano reach a $1.25 trillion market cap. Now, I know it's bullish. I know it's crazy numbers in comparison to what we're seeing right now, but I still think it's possible. One thing you have to consider is that crypto is likely the biggest revolution that we have ever seen within the world since internet. Okay, and I know that's a big statement again, but it's just my opinion. If you don't like my opinion, I understand, but it's just my opinion. Okay, so with that, how does that translate in order to price? So currently speaking, the price is about $1.40 to $1.44. Well, let's start to do some numbers. Okay, if we take this number, 32,704,886,184, and we multiply that by roughly speaking, $38, let's go ahead, $38.50 That puts us around $1.25 trillion in market cap. So roughly the price would be around $38.45, which is pretty close to that $40 mark that a lot of analysts do believe it can reach within the next couple of decades here. Now, that is dependent, saying that the total supply and the max supply don't reach, saying that the total circulating supply realistically stays about the same. Okay, let's just these are all rough numbers. I was going off the total supply and not necessarily the circulating supply, but you guys get the point. Okay, you get the point. $35 to $40 roughly. Okay, so let's talk about how that translates to the 20,000 in which you would be buying now, for example, how that changes, how much money you could be generating monthly, and why I believe that that is one of the golden numbers that can enable you to live a very comfortable life off of an investment relatively small in comparison to what it will grow to in the future. So if we do go ahead and if we calculate this on a dividend calculators do apply very well to the overall, to any cryptos that have staking, because it is just an extra percentage gain that you will be getting every single month, in which you can then apply to the price. And then if you reinvest what you do receive from staking and plus the price growth, that gives you a general idea of where the price will be, how much you'll be making, and things of that nature. Okay, so let's talk about this. So right now, in order to buy about 20,000 ADA, you would need about $28,800. For it to reach $38.45 in the next 20 years, it would need to grow at about a growth of roughly 18% every single year without stopping. Now, sure, there are going to be some years that could be 30%, 40%, 100%, but there also may be bear markets in which we see it fall 90%. You never really know, but on average, it needs to grow about 18%. So, of course, over the next 20 years, with a current staking reward of about 4.6%. Now, of course, I know people are going to say, well, Tyler, what if it changes in the next 20 years? Sure, but I can't guess how it's going to change in the next 20 years. I can simply just go off the information in which we have now. Taking all of this information into account, say if my math is wrong, put it in the comment section and I will update this video as soon as possible. This is what we are currently going to be looking at. By the end of year 20, at an 18% growth every single year, on top of a 4.6% yearly growth in your staking rewards, you'd be currently looking at about a $1.69 million investment. Now, I know that sounds crazy. When I saw it, I had to run these numbers like 7 times because it just sounded insane. But when you consider the fact that your investment would be multiplying itself by about 29 times, roughly, not even 29, probably somewhere around like 20 times, to get from $1 to about $38, it's somewhere between that, 25 to 30 range, something like that, some type of multiple there. On top of receiving an extra 5% every single year, the numbers add up, and it's absolutely insane. Okay, so with that being said, what are we then looking at? So if we take that number of about 1,695,125 and we then multiply that by our 0.046, which is our current reward from staking, we can see that that's about $77,975 a year in staking rewards, which if we do multiply that out by 12, not considering tax or anything of that nature, that's about $6,500 every single month that you would be able to live off of based off these numbers. Now, of course, that's not taking into account inflation. That's not taking into account taxes. But you guys get the overall picture of the growth potential here of what a $28,000 investment could turn into in a very bullish, very optimistic case scenario in terms of ADA Cardano reaching about $1.25 trillion in market cap in the next 20 years, which again, is within the realm of possibility. Okay. Now, these numbers are not normal. These numbers are not usual. You don't get these numbers in the stock market. But one thing people have to understand that this is not the stock market. Okay. Crypto is one of the biggest revolutions the world and that humanity has ever seen. It is taking things from centralization to decentralization. There are going to be barriers. There's going to be obstacles. There's going to be hoops to jump through. And we all know this. But if we are then able to achieve these goals, if we are able to see all of this happen, this is not possible. This is very possible. And so with that, that's why I truly believe that ADA has some of the most potential of all of the cryptos in which we are seeing right now. So with that being said, if you guys do like these style of videos, if it is something you'd like to see me continue to do, definitely let me know by smashing the like button and dropping it down in the comment section below. If you'd like to see me do this with multiple cryptos, maybe VeChain or Polygon or Ethereum or Bitcoin, definitely let me know in the comment section. I can run some numbers and I can get some just some stuff going for you guys. So definitely let me know. Again, all of this information was posted within my Patreon. If you do go here, you can see that all of this information was posted in the Patreon a few hours ago. So definitely join that if you do want access to all of that. And with that, I will see you guys very, very soon. Peace.